we've seen defense from Don Jr., and I'm not going to do all of this because I don't have enough time left to. This will be a bit of a needle drop. We're having to do this in some of these ways because of the volume of shit these days. But we've seen Greg Kelly, who wishes he was one of the Trump kids. We've seen Don and Eric come to his defense. Eric Bolling can't wait to, throw himself under the bus for Trump. They all desperately want to. They're not going to, but they talk a good game. Meanwhile, who will truly come to Trump's defense in the most, powerful way? Well, what do you know? And by the way, the title of this is, I think, in many ways, an example for others of how to brutally defend Donald Trump. This is bullshit. Rusty Trombone with his the irony of him wearing what's effectively the Woman's March hat on his head, considering what that was an answer to. That can't be an accident. He usually wears that yellow one that makes him look like a hippie highlighter. And now he's wearing the pink hat when Trump is going down. It's interesting. And by the way, he's upset because he goes, so it finally happened. The historic and unprecedented? You mean unprecedented? What the fuck is that? Look, just because you guys invented the language doesn't mean you're allowed to fuck with it all the time. Unprecedented indictment and charging of Donald Trump. So has Trump rightly been charged because truly no one is above law? Do the U.S., in fact, only believe in holding certain presidents accountable?
It's finally happened. The historic, unprecedented...
Jesus Christ, dude. Calm the fuck down. We know you've been bogarting Junior's stash. Is it because Kimberly slipped it to you on the way out the door?
Unprecedented charges against Trump have landed. Do they justify the media frenzy? And is what Trump has done any worse than other former presidents of the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Hello there, you 6.4 million awakening one.
And by the way, he's looking like the hippie Alex Jones things. Is it just me or his arms look really weirdly skinny right now?
Thanks for joining me on this voyage towards truth and freedom and what the apocalypse is at hand. Finally, Donald Trump's historic charges have been revealed, and it seems...
No, historic only because it's the first indictment. The rest of the charges are coming from other cases.
They're mostly misdemeanors that are being amplified into felonies. If by rule of law, then Trump is a criminal, then let the proceedings unfold. But let us also consider former presidents of the United States. Let us also consider significant and real systemic corruption, and beyond even that, dead, bombed children across the world. Let's look at the legacy of other American presidents. Let's look at how this case represents...
And by the, for the record, Russell, if I may, Trump also did all of those things. The idea somehow that Trump didn't do, and Trump lowered the standards by which drone strikes could be done, raising the number of civilian deaths in his first year in office by 80%. There were more civilians killed by American drone strikes under Donald Trump in his first year than the entire 8 years of Obama. So while this asshole is kind of stacking this idea like George W. Bush manages to get away with this shit, but they go after poor Donald Trump. Guess what, asshole? Trump continued to do, never got us out of Afghanistan, never shut that shit down. As a matter of fact, was saying he wanted to keep Bagram open forever because apparently we can fly over and blow up China's nuke facilities.
Systemic corruption and the inability of the system to ever create anything fair, just, and even reasonable. Turn on that notification bell right.
Fuck off.
Mainstream media are telling you this story.
Tonight, Donald Trump, the first president in American history to become a criminal defendant. All day, New York City on high alert.
It's weird when they say high alert, it's just people with their hands in their pockets, people just standing around. This hyperbole is what much of the case is.
The fuck are you talking about? You're going to start castigating the mainstream media for hyperbole? And just because you see footage of people walking or they mismatched the footage does not mean that they aren't on high alert. They fucking are. I mean, as an American, I remember what Timothy McVeigh did. This asshole's in another country.
I've often thought that with the British monarchy, the crowns, the paraphernalia, is to distract you from the fact that these are just some people, actually. They're just people. How much of the amplification, hysteria, magnification of this case is actually serving entrenched systemic power?
Oh, fuck off. Yes, entrenched real estate power. Rich corporate assholes who've used every lever they can possibly find to undermine the rule of law in the country. Yes, that's happened for years, and now it's stopping. This would normally be, if Russell believes anything he fucking pretends to believe, would be good news. And JD, thank you so much. Optimistic stoicism for the win. Absolutely.
Some of you really love Donald Trump, and I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that, especially the pussy grabbing part and the sexual assault and the E. Jean Carroll stuff. Personally, I can relate.
Some of you really hate Donald Trump, and I'm okay with that. What I'm interested in is systems. What I'm really interested in...
No, you're not. Then create one.
...is change. Real change being delivered...
Yeah, real change. Being delivered from a dude who lives in a $4 million pound, sorry, 3 million pound house, and is worth $85 million, who has 2 podcasts.
To all of us, a genuine conversation and the opportunity for people who hate...
By the way, can I just say for the record, full disclosure, if I had anywhere near that amount of money, if I had $60 million, there is no fucking way I wouldn't have $1 million of it every year for a think tank to develop policy and present it to Congress and lobby for shit I cared about. Easily. And partly because I'm a fucking cheap date, so I don't need the fanciest of the fancy. I like my fancy things, but I don't need the fanciest of the fanciest of the fanciest. And if I got anywhere near that level where you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of fucking money. Having $1 million, like, I'm paying people who I care about and that I like and that have great ideas to sit around and try to think up, like, policy, like actual programs, actual legislation, fucking draft legislation to hand over. This motherfucker yammers on Rumble. He was already rich when this shit started, and he's getting richer by the day because Rumble bought him over. They were like, we'll give you a bunch of money to come that way, in the same way that, Daily Wire, I think, was trying to buy up Steven Crowder. They guaranteed him a paycheck. And other than financing his tour, and I suppose, and we haven't heard much about his meditation program in a while. I think he's chucked that out the fucking window because he's making too much money on anxiety. The last thing he wants is for people to calm the fuck down. There's none of that. Where's his fucking round table of ideas? Where is it? I'll tell you why he doesn't have it. Because the minute he puts pen to paper of any of this shit, he recognizes, like a lot of these assholes do, that once you start making decisions, which means to cut off from, to desize, once you cut something off, you're going to offend somebody or you're going to be judged by what you choose as a priority and what you don't. And that takes guts. That takes work. People shit on politicians all the time, but it's largely because we have outsourced our decisions, the decision-making process, to those folks so that we can go, fuck that guy. I wouldn't make that decision. All right, what decision would you make? I don't know. It's not my fucking problem. He's the politician. That's how it is. In many ways, Lenny Bruce used to have this bit about police brutality back in the 60s about, guys going, they whipped me, they beat me, they Sam Levine me. You're like, asshole, you were showing your dick to people in the park. Yeah, well, they didn't go after the other guy, though. They just went after me. And people, the cops walking down the street with a, short sleeves and a stick in his hand, and people are yelling Gestapo at him, and he's like, Gestapo, I'm the fucking mailman. The bit the description Lenny Bruce gave was that we outsource as a society the uncomfortable parts of our political and social and philosophical lives to some people. And then when they do it, we can go, I wouldn't do that. Fuck that. I'm too nice a person. You go do that. Go kick their ass. If they try to, it's like we sleep in area A. We go, we eat in area B. We throw our trash in area C. This guy goes to sleep. He wakes up, gets a face full of trash. He's like, what the fuck is going on? And you go, well, that was the mayor's wife. I don't give a shit. Like, the law has to appeal evenly to everybody. So they hire a policeman, make him do that shit. Same thing is true about this asshole and systems and the fucking politicians and the Illuminati level crap. It's because he never has to put any meat on these fucking bones.
Trump and love Trump to come together and recognize our systems are not working.
How? Our systems aren't working? In what way? You get to live stream and do your podcast on an American-built system paid for by American taxpayers, invented by the DOD in the United States, and turned loose by the grace of the American taxpayer on the entire fucking world. If this asshole or I had to pay for broadcasting rights like it used to be to get our shit on the air, it'd never fucking happen. This dude is a tick bitching about the taste of the dog's blood.
Our media is lying to us. Trials like this are being used as mass distractions. Huge amounts of money are being conveyed to the military-industrial complex. Finland's joining NATO. Julian Assange is still in prison. And
what the fuck do those have to do with each other? Finland is joining NATO because Russia attacked their neighbor, and they share... Fuck, Ukraine has a border with Russia. Russia attacked. Finland has a border with Russia. They've been attacked by Russia before. Before Finland even brought up the idea of joining NATO recently, the Russian propagandists on 60 Minutes, their show over there, not ours with Leslie Stahl doing propaganda for Marjorie Taylor Greene, arguably, they were saying, Finland's next. Fuck Finland, we're coming for them. Like, this asshole gives a shit.
We're talking about misdemeanors being amplified into felonies.
No, we're not. We're talking about felonies. They're Class E felonies. That's a lie. You heard that somewhere, and you've decided that that's what happened.
You have to learn to put aside your personal feelings. You have to look at...
No, I don't. I don't fucking have to do anything. You have to take off that fucking pink hat while you're blowing smoke up Trump's ass and bullshitting the American people while you still haven't even been able to get rid of your monarchy. We fought a war with you fuckers so we don't have to hear about that shit.
Systemic corruption.
Police lining the streets around Trump Tower as Trump raised his fist, giving a wave as he stepped into a car.
Like they're actually having to talk about the nature of it. He waved his fist.
He did it, and then they're describing what happened in case people aren't looking. Jesus fucking Christ.
Finger wave. Then I think it was this finger, the index, that went down next, and then the dirty finger, then the wedding finger, then this little piggy stayed at home, though.
As his motorcade made
I don't know what that slam is supposed to be about.
its way downtown, sources tell ABC News that apart from his Secret Service detail, the former president rode alone. No lawyers, no family, no advisors with him.
He's alone. He's ruined everything. So this is sort of anti-Trump, isn't it? Because if this was a pro-Trump channel, Donald Trump needed nobody. He used only his own breath and farts to pump himself full of courtroom power for the arraignment, a word you now know about and care about. So the inflections, even around the minor details, inform us what the media outlet wants us to.
Oh my God. So ABC News, by describing what happened and who was in the car with him, and one of the most, like, listen to that monotonous read again. Listen to this fucker's description. This is ABC News describing this actual event as it's happening.
But apart from his Secret Service detail, the former president rode alone. No lawyers, no family, no advisors with him.
He's alone. He's
like, it's fucking monotone.
Ruined everything. So this is sort of anti-Trump, isn't it? Because if this was a pro-Trump channel, Donald Trump needed nobody. He used only his own breath, word you now know about and care about. So the inflections, even around the minor details,
Yeah, it's almost like your exaggerated horseshit way of talking.
Inform us what the
Yeah, and the way people gesture and say things to enforce an idea, the way they wag their fucking hands. Like, Jesus Christ, man, calm
media
down.
outlet wants us to believe. The very fact that there's this much hysteria shows you something significant is happening, even though it's
Yes, you're very hysterical. I don't know why.
ultimately ephemeral amplification that we're dealing with. There is something underneath it. And what I believe that is, and what Trump's success has always been based on, is all
Oh, Trump's success has always been based on.
of us know the system is broken. What
Yeah, that's Trump's successes have always been based on a broken system. I agree. He's taken advantage of the tax system being broken and weighted towards rich people. The rules around LLCs and the anonymous way that foreign money gets into New York real estate. You're right. He's taken advantage of that broken system. He doesn't want to change that part of it at all. As a matter of fact, he made it easier while he was president for the very ways his company makes money.
I believe Trump was, perhaps will forever remain, is a kind of organic wrecking ball and rhetorical genius. My personal belief is that Donald Trump is not able to change the systems of corruption, whether he wanted to or not.
Not. And also, he is part of the corruption. He praises the corruption. Why the fuck do you think he liked what the Philippines does with drug dealers, you cretin?
Also believe that these charges are ultimately a way of removing him from the presidential candidacy. I believe that's true. But the main thing, the potent energy that has to be addressed.
Well, tell you what. Shove that shit up your ass because you're not a voter.
Is people are sort of shuddering, shaking, vibrating with rage against this corruption, and centralized power, whether it's media, political or financial, is trying to repress it and locate it all in the figure of Trump and these charges, which I know some of you think are serious and a lot of you think are ridiculous.
A lot of you, yes. The weight of his audience has shifted very heavily. By the way, we don't need to watch any more of that. It's going to be the same shit. I just think it's amazing to me that Russell especially, and Jimmy Dore, I think they're both cut from the same kind of bullshit cloth as doomsprayers. They can't wait for the nation to collapse because they think it's an emblem of some sort of systemic systems that need to be torn down and rebuilt from scratch, even though they have no idea how or in what form those things would be rebuilt. And they benefit greatly from the constant, rabble rousing around the doom and the end of times bullshit that they're always selling. But the idea somehow that Trump finally just getting busted for the shady, low-res bullshit that he did is somehow the fucking Illuminati shutting down, the Americans against or the world against being able to rise up against systems of oppression. It's embarrassing. The idea that this guy hasn't been charged with stuff sooner is more of an example of rich people having a different life than the rest of us. And the fact that these folks aren't cheerleading the fact that, look, I might not think these are the charges. There's a lot worse shit to go after him for. There were 25 plus serious sexual assault allegations, not the least of which was like teenagers saying he barged into the fucking dressing room at Miss Teen USA because he thought he was allowed. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. There's like tons of shit this guy did over the years that was gross, way worse than this kind of stuff. And you could kind of go, I wish it was for those things, but these things are legit, and that's that. Now, who else represents conservatism and might have a voice in it? Like, you don't think there's not another fucking loudmouth who actually knows conservative history, who wasn't amazed to find out that Abe Lincoln was a Republican? You don't think those people fucking exist? Why is that my problem? Why is that the voters' problem? Why is that the world's problem? That the Republicans and the maggots especially have put all this weight on Donald Trump, put everything they have into this guy's basket, and because he fucked it up like he does everything else, because Donald Trump is a lifelong fuck up, that's somehow our problem. That's the media's problem. That's social media's problem. It's corporations and the military. Everybody has to be against Donald Trump for this to fucking happen. It couldn't just possibly be that he's an asshole. Love you guys. Take care. I will see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Oh, and one more thing.